You know, with this film, I feel like this film is something really special because we've seen these icons before on screen, but I don't feel like we've seen them in the way that we get to see them in this movie. It almost feels like, as you're watching it, like you're being invited to this really special private moment. And it's like, it almost feels like it's a secret. Like you are the only person who's been led into this moment. And you get to the opportunity to get to know these guys in a completely different way. And you get to see completely different sides of them. You know, was there a certain sense of responsibility that you felt knowing that you were going to be exposing a younger generation to these voices that some of them may not be as familiar with?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, I actually did because I had that experience when I was younger when Malcolm X, the Spike Lee film, had come out, and
Yeah.
it was very impactful for me. And it's still my favorite film, and it influenced a lot of who I was as a young man and as an actor, an artist, and following Denzel after that, and all those things. So I definitely felt like this film had that potential just because of the subject matter and the
Mhm.
time that it's coming out, and then the way that it's portrayed, which is very accessible to lots of different people from different backgrounds and generations. So yeah, I did think about that, and it's something I hope it resonates in that way.
Well, I think the sense of responsibility is what drew me to the project, just because the message and the script resonated so strongly with me.
Mm.
Who these men were in their time, what they were going through, what they had at their disposal when it came to capabilities. You know, they all had different outlets and resources, but they were coming together to use those resources for the greater good. That example set in how we sort of communicate what that journey is for them, I think sets a really good picture for how a lot of us could act today with our resources and our platforms, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but their responsibility was bigger than their platform. Their responsibility was to themselves and to their culture because they understood what they were up against. You can be rich all day if you're still black in America, you're still going to be dealing with the way America treats you as a black person. So
Mm.
they had a bigger monster to fight. For the younger generations coming up, I think they will understand the value of the message. And what we have seen is a lot of people going back to do the research and figure out who these men are and who they were. You know, so that is what I really love to see those, numbers tick up and
Yeah.
to see that, you know, the different streaming numbers and all that kind of stuff for music and autobiographies. You get to see that people are actually engaged, and that to me tells me that we did enough to intrigue people, to pique their curiosity, which at the end of the day with art, that's really all you can ask.
I did feel a tremendous responsibility, but I had the confidence of Kemp Powers' material.
Yeah.
Kemp given us this beautiful script. And I knew that if I did my job right, I've been given brilliant scripts before, you know. So I know the great power of one of those things. And if you somehow, if you step out of the way, or if you allow yourself to be used in the right way, the script, it plays you in a way,
Hmm.
kind of like you become an instrument more than a conductor or something. But anyway, I love what you said about that. I thought too that Kemp was doing something daring. I remember seeing a few years ago watching Manchester by the Sea,
Hmm.
and just being so impacted by that, being so impacted by the bravery and the courage of just really removing a fourth wall and allowing us to see the interior of that home
Yeah.
and then the interior of those human beings. I just thought it was so beautiful and profound. And I, I did feel like we had the opportunity to do something like that with this movie, to be that honest.
You know, out of all the characters in the film, I really felt like Malcolm stood out to me the most in the sense that I personally don't feel like I've ever been given the opportunity through film to see this side of Malcolm X. Usually it's a much different side of him, and I really enjoyed being able to almost, as I was just kind of in the room watching these conversations unfold with him and his friends, and I really enjoyed being given the opportunity to get to know him in that way, like I hadn't before. How did you embody that? How did you find that side of him?
I feel like I'm the same as you. Like I feel like I had such a wonderful time, over those two. I spent so much time listening to him and watching him and trying to pretend to speak like him and listening to him and studying him. And I felt I felt so honored to be able to just get a glimpse into, what his life was maybe about at this time. And yeah, I just was trying to find anything I could that would give me a way into accessing his humanity, and anything I could find about who he was as a father and what he was like in private and who he was to his friends, and all of that stuff really became gold for me. And I held on to it for dear life because, I wasn't worried about Denzel's performance so much. I knew that no one can ever. Denzel's working in his own magical place up there with the acting gods, and the rest of us are here just trying to figure it out. So I didn't worry too much about that. I was more, if I was concerned of anything, it was to do with, I guess I wondered on some level whether the community would accept Malcolm this vulnerable, and how people would feel about seeing their hero humanized in this kind of extreme way. But that's something that Regina and we stayed in constant conversation about that, and I trusted her fully. So, I gave her lots of different versions, and she really constructed the emotional performance. We did it together. We really collaborated on this portrayal of him, and it was just such a joy, man. It was such a joy.
Well, it really was a joy watching, and I just have to finish this off by saying congratulations, because the film is absolutely phenomenal, and I will be rooting all of you on come award season.
Thank you, Danielle. Appreciate it.